I'm following on from a video that I did yesterday and the day before where I was talking about the words I could never and how people use them as an excuse, and some people use them because they actually just don't want to do something, but other people use them as an excuse to not follow their dreams. And that's what we went through yesterday. We went through the people who were using the words I could never to stop themselves having to try to do something that they actually really wanted. And I gave you a visualization where you had a blanket that was the words I could never, and on that blanket you piled a whole heap of things which are the real reasons for why you felt that you actually couldn't do this thing. And it might be things like I'm not good enough, people will laugh at me, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck, I don't know the tech, and all these things, all these jumbled things that are going round and around your head were put onto this blanket, and then were tied the knots together, so it was like a blanket bundle, and then you've slung that over your shoulder and you're walking around with this gigantic blanket bundle all nicely tied up, and you're walking around with that. And even though it's a nice bundle, it's nice and clean looking, it's actually quite heavy. And it's getting in the way and it's stopping you of doing what you want to do. And we talked about putting down that bundle and pulling apart the ends of that blanket and lying it out and then examining what was on that blanket. And if you haven't heard this before, go back and watch that video, or do this visualization, because it's very powerful when you actually visualize yourself untying this blanket which is full of all the things that are really stopping you from going after your goals and your dreams. And then you look at these things one by one and write them down. So you can write them down and then you can start to examine them and see what it is that's stopping you from where you want to get to go. Okay, so I promised yesterday that I was going to start to go through some of these things that might be stopping you and that we were going to look at them. But today I want to talk about one obstacle, the big obstacle that if you don't get this right, no matter what you're doing, is not going to work. And it's probably not one that you even realize is on your blanket. And it's something called cognitive dissonance. So what is cognitive dissonance? I'm going to read for you here from Wikipedia. So Wikipedia says that cognitive dissonance occurs when a person holds two or more contradictory beliefs, ideas or values, or participates in an action that goes against one of these three. And you are also and experience a psychological stress because of that. So in other words, if you currently believe one thing, but you are hanging on to a second belief that contradicts the first, then your brain has a meltdown, and that's the cognitive dissonance. It's kind of like these two beliefs are not aligning in your head and your brain can't handle it. So it starts to throw things at you to make you give up the thing that it can't really believe. And how do you know when you're in cognitive dissonance? Well, it's a place of mental distress. You'll find that you're not motivated. You might have trouble getting out of bed. You're confused about what you should be doing. You have trouble getting started. You don't finish chores. You're jumping from one thing to the other. You feel like you're trying to run through mud. You're just not getting there. My personal one is my head feels like it's stuffed of cotton wool, and I basically can't see the forest for the trees. Okay. And then the other thing that happens is you start to self-sabotage your efforts. So if you find yourselves in cognitive dissonance, what do you do about it? Do you give up on your dream because it's obviously too far for your brain to realize is a possibility? No, of course not. You don't give up on it just because it's not aligning with your current belief. If we did that, we would never grow, we would never get anywhere. But imagine it's like you've said to your brain, here we are now, and I want to be here, and we have to build this gigantic bridge. But your brain says to you, the bridge is too long. I can't hold it. It's not structurally supportive. It's going to collapse. And that's what's happening. Your bridge is collapsing. So what you need to do now is you need to put some pillars in place to hold this bridge up. And what that's allowed is going to be like stepping stones for your brain to step across from A to B to make it possible for you to get to your dreams. So let's look as an example in our field where we have a lot of people who want $7 million. Everyone would love $7 million, but they want seven-figure businesses. Excuse my girl barking. So they want a seven-figure business, but at this point in time, they actually only have a couple of clients. So their brain is freaking out about this goal of seven-figure business when they only have a couple of clients. So what do? Do they give up on that seven-figure business goal? No, of course not. What they need to do is they need to break that big goal up into smaller goals that your brain can manage. So for instance, if you haven't even had your first client yet, but you have the big dream of financial freedom, 7-figure business, you need to break it down to first 10 clients. Just goal is the first 10 clients. And all of a sudden, your brain's like, yeah, I can do that. Is it easy? No. Is it scary? Of course it is. Does it make your belly feel a little bit weird? Yes, it should, okay, because we need to be continuously getting out of our comfort zone. But what it shouldn't do is freak the fuck out of your brain, okay? So it's a little bit like eating a hamburger bite by bite versus stuffing the whole hamburger into your mouth. If you do the latter, you're going to choke for sure. Okay, so we've got to break this hamburger down into bite-sized pieces that you can take, stepping stones that you can take to get from A to B. Now, you know, break your big goal down into these chunks that are manageable. You need to still make sure that you're heading in the right direction. Yes, I have a saying that sometimes you need to look at the horizon and sometimes you need to look at your feet. And what I mean by that is you need to look at the horizon to make sure that you are steering yourself in the right direction, to make sure that the choices that you are making are heading you in that right direction. But if you just keep your eyes on that horizon, then you're in that state of cognitive dissonance because you don't know where to put your feet. So then once you've got, okay, I'm heading in the right direction, you've broken your goals down, you've got your stepping stones. Now you need to look at these stepping stones and you need to concentrate on each stepping stone at a time to get you across this gap from A to B. So once you have your first stepping stone, all right, I want you to write down your A, where you are now, your B, your big goal, okay, and that's going to throw you into cognitive dissonance. And then write down some stepping stones, some smaller goals that are manageable that you can see. Now, you might only be able to work on the first stepping stone because you don't know where you're going to go after that. So you might say 10 clients, and you know what, that's enough for now. Just work on that. Or you might say my first 5-figure month, okay? Once you get to that stepping stone, then you can fix your eye on the horizon again and set your second stepping stone, remembering that it should make you uncomfortable. Don't choose to stay in your comfort zone or you'll never get to your big goal. All right, so once you have your first stepping stone, it's time to go back to that blanket. Remember the blanket that we've laid out, that I could never blanket, with all the things that are obstacles, the mindset obstacles and the actual real obstacles like lack of knowledge, inability tech, things like that are lying in that blanket. And you need to now start sorting through these obstacles and working out which is your first big domino that you need to knock down to head towards your first stepping stone. Tomorrow we're going to start going through these obstacles one by one so that you know how you can get to your big goal. All right, I hope you are safe. I hope you are well. And I wanted to say that there has never been a better time to build an online business. And I think that what we're seeing today with people losing jobs and having to go home, it reflects that. So just keep your eye on your big goal, break it down to bite-sized pieces, and remember just to keep on going. Have a wonderful day.